97underground.com, Baltimore's pure rock.
Hello, this is Michael Spedden, and thanks for joining us today on the 97underground.com Michael Spedden Interviews channel here on YouTube. There have been many requests from both listeners and guests for us to make available our artist interviews so they can listen again or share with others. You can find us on YouTube at 97underground Michael Spedden. Remember, the Back of the Rack, the Michael Spedden Show, can be heard on 97underground.com every Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Not only do I feature artist interviews, I feature songs you forgot you liked, classics that never die, beloved local, regional, up-and-coming, and underground artists. You can listen anytime, anywhere by downloading our free app from 97underground.com. Just do it. And now, today's episode. And folks, thanks for tuning into the Back of the Rack, the Michael Spedden Show here on 97underground.com, Baltimore's pure rock worldwide. Tonight's guest was Robert Mason of Warrant. Robert came by to talk about his upcoming show, December 6th, in Winchester, Virginia, at Backseat Events. Warrant will be down there. And if you go to warrantrocks.com, you'll see the date for this show. You can get your general admission or VIP tickets. So go to www.warrantrocks.com and enjoy the interview with Robert Mason. And welcome back to the Back of the Rack, the Michael Spedden Show here on 97underground.com, Baltimore's pure rock worldwide. And tonight we're here with Robert Mason of Warrant. He's going to be coming to Backseat Events in Winchester, Virginia, December 6th. Their website is warrantrocks.com. And on that website, you can find links to all of their social media sites, as well as links to get your VIP and general admission tickets to their show coming up here. So, Robert, welcome to the show. How are things going out there on the road?
It's all right. Everything's going according to plan so far. So we're just wrapping up our year. That show coming up on the 6th. Is it the 6th? Yes, it is the 6th. I have to keep looking at my calendar. It's been a long year.
Oh, yeah.
That's our next to the last show of the calendar year.
It looks like you've been busy this year, too. And you know what? In this line of work, in this business, that's a good problem to have, huh?
It's a beautiful thing. We keep booking shows and people show up in numbers that sometimes even surprises us. So, we're super happy. Obviously, to be in a band that's done this for this long and can still go out and play shows, it's the greatest job I've ever had. So
wonderful. That's great to hear. I was just looking through your tour dates, not only the ones that are going to be coming up in the future, but the ones from this past year. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at this. I'm like, you guys must be having a ball. Looking at some of the bands you've been playing with out there, I see, you've been performing with Lita Ford quite a bit. Mm-hmm. Some of the other ones, I saw a couple of Southern rock bands that you've been with. I thought I saw Molly Hatchet on there. You did some dates with, or you may have a date with them.
But you know what? It's honestly a completely mixed bag. There are certain years in the past where we've done 30, 40 shows with one or two bands. And then the case this year was a bunch of shows with Lita. We have a common booking agent.
Yeah.
So, that's usually the standard issue is another band from our agency or two or three. And then the odd festival shows here and there. Those are really fun because that's more like a big rock and roll high school reunion. People you only throughout the rest of the year pass in the airport, or
right.
And then say, hey, I'll see you down the road. And then to play those multi-day festival shows, those are always fun.
Right. Well, that must really be. And you just said it was like, a big high school reunion. And those things have got to be just a blast. I mean, with your history, I know I've seen all the acts that you've toured with and all the people that I'm sure you've rubbed elbows with and done shows with over the years. And then, you all end up performing at the same festival and everything. I'm sure there's a lot of reminiscing, a lot of hanging out, a lot of, great to see you again backstage and stuff,
Always. Yeah, the shows are the payoff. The travel is, I'm sure I'm not the first person to think, I'll pay me for the travel, I'll do the show for free. That sort of mindset. The couple hours you spend doing the show and the prep
Hmm.
before all that, and afterward are that's the fun part.
Hmm.
That's the part that keeps you doing it.
Right, right. And it looks like too, and I'm sure you probably enjoy this part of it too. It looks like with a lot of the shows that you have booked on your calendar, you have your general admission tickets, but you also have like a VIP type experience. And sometimes it may just be special seating, but other times, depending on the venue and everything, you get to come back and meet the band and everything. And what's it like, meeting all these folks and everything? I'm sure everybody has their own stories about you, what the things that you've done and the times they've seen your projects and what it's meant to them over the years. What's that like for you?
It's cool because fans have their own perspective and their own stories.
Hmm.
It's almost constant. Someone will come and is like, I saw you this year at this show, and
Hmm.
that sort of thing. Oh, with these other bands or whatever. So it's a cool connection. I mean, it's the fan experience that allows us to keep doing this, and it's
Hmm.
nostalgic on one hand, and then there are people bringing their kids that have only heard Warrant songs on video games or movies, movie soundtracks, and then they come and
Yeah.
see. It's like a real, then
Hmm.
it's kind of interesting. So uh, to have done it for this long again and still have fans that want to come out and see shows, it's the greatest thing. Some of them are nervous. A
Oh, yeah.
couple of them have, pre-gamed and had a couple of cocktails. So by the time they meet you at their meet and greet, they don't know what to say, and they just,
Sure.
but the meet and greet thing is fun. Like I said, they've got stories. They're excited. You're
Hmm.
excited. It's all about the time leading up to the show, and getting on stage and performing and trying to, obviously, that my job is to get everybody as, amped up as I am and
Hmm.
to sing along and enjoy themselves and forget their troubles for a couple hours. I
Sure,
mean,
sure.
it's a nostalgic thing. If they're the type of fan that went right out at the end of the 80s, early 90s and
Yeah.
bought
Hmm.
cassettes and CDs and things like that, and then went to those concerts back then, it's a
Hmm.
very nostalgic thing for them. They hear these songs and it brings them back to that place, uh, personal memories, all that sort of stuff.
Hmm.
So it's always cool to hear their stories as well.
It really is, because I've done a couple of those just from like some of the movies I've done. I've met a couple of, I've done some meet and greets myself, and it's always neat because people will come up to you and they'll say, and again I've seen this at some of the band meet and greets. What a song that you've written means to them. It brings back a memory. Whenever they hear that song, they're taken back to that one event or something like that in their life, and that's quite an accomplishment to have done that for people. I'm sure
I
with all
love
the
being able to bring
projects.
that out in people. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it's kind of fun, and that's the nostalgia aspect is a huge component
Hmm.
of what we do.
Right,
Yes, we're
right.
still up there. We're playing songs, and I've done two records with the band, so there are songs that are newer. But by and large,
Hmm.
your garden variety Warrant fan remembers
Hmm.
those first three really big records when if they're of that certain age
Sure. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
that meant something to them.
Yep. Yeah, that was my time, and that was back when I was kind of like the heyday of my playing in bands and stuff too. And I remember Warrant well. I remember Warrant coming through, I think doing Hammerjacks in Baltimore, where I'm from.
Yeah.
And and then I mean, the band evolves, time goes by, sadly, we lose people from time to time. And you've come into the band and, listening to the material, I've, you know, what you've done with the band here, sometimes you get people, and I'm sure that, and a lot of these people are non-musicians too. They're like, oh, I don't like the new guy. I don't like this guy who coming in. But and maybe you've heard some of that before. Listening to the material myself, I can't see why anybody in their right mind would say that. But I'm sure that's something that everybody goes through in music. Now, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I suppose, but again, by and large,
Hmm.
Warrant fans are there
Yeah.
to have a good time, and if we provide that, they hear
Hmm.
the songs, they get the live performance where we don't just stare at our shoes.
Right. Right.
My intent is to metaphorically get out there and really reach the audience and have them reach back and have everybody kind of bond on that
Hmm.
energetic level. Uh,
Yeah.
if I didn't, on one hand, I think Joey Allen said it one time. He said, if my singer didn't have a really thick skin, he wouldn't be able to do this. So it's like,
You know,
and I've
mhm.
been through this before. I've spoken about this before in interviews. We've
Mhm.
never spoken or met. So
Right, right,
the
right.
quick answer is I've been in this band over 16 years.
Hmm.
It was at a time when they really needed somebody to be the hood ornament,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
horn in front of the car, the headlights.
Mhm.
And they had fans and promoters and shows booked and people willing to come see the band, and they just couldn't manage it with all five guys.
Right,
And
right.
you know, Janie Blessum was not in a good place nor fit to go do that.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
came in I met them at a festival show,
Hmm.
kind of reconnected with them, and it was just a very organic, natural thing. Now my band
Hmm.
uh, had opened for Warrant in arenas in 92, 91, yeah, 92. So
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
we were friends for all that time, albeit casual, distant, acquaintances and friends. We got to be friends on that tour. And Janie and I got to be friends, pretty good friends throughout
Yeah.
those months on the road in 92. So, we were all in a similar place. We're all of a
Hmm.
similar age. It was a very organic fit for me to come in
Yeah,
and
yeah.
first
Hmm.
fill in some shows. And I know I've said this before as well, but really quickly, if I would have filled in half a dozen shows, half a year, or whatever, and Janie got himself healthy and wanted to come back,
Hmm.
here you go. It's
Yeah,
your band.
yeah. Hmm.
That was not the case.
Right, right.
And we all had to make peace with that. There was a
Yeah,
certain
yeah.
element of, it's still in some ways a job and a career
Hmm.
and a passion. It's like you mix ego, art, and commerce, and they
Yeah.
don't always flow together perfectly well
Hmm.
forever, ever, amen. But we had 4 out of 5 guys, booking agent, promoters, and fans willing to keep the wheels rolling and keep the band
Hmm.
going. So we just did it. And it's honestly grown and gained momentum
Yes.
throughout those years to the point where now we're still doing, I think it's just short of 60 shows this year, fly dates, and we still love doing it. Everybody gets along. And the testament is that it's still going after 16 and a half some odd years.
Oh,
So,
sure,
you
sure.
know, I've
Yes.
said as long as we keep going and fans still want to come out and we're
Hmm.
still doing good shows and everybody's happy, then we'll keep doing it.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, and looking at a couple of things again, while I was going back and preparing for the interview,
Mhm.
the 2011 album Rockaholic, number 22 on the hard rock album charts. Number in 2017, Louder, Harder, Faster, number 19 on the charts. On the indie rock charts. You know what? That's no slouch right there. And listening, and you contributed a lot. I'm looking at the credits here. I mean, it looks like you had your hand in at least half of the songs on each one of those albums.
Well, I had my hand in way more in all of the
Yeah.
songs.
Yeah.
I guess my soul hand in a bunch.
Right, right.
I
That's
mean,
what I was kind of getting at there.
it's a
Yeah, yeah,
concerted
yeah.
effort. Well, but the thing is,
Hmm.
Janie was a great writer and a
Yeah,
great
yeah.
man and a
Hmm.
hell of a singer and connected with audiences. And I
Hmm.
feel a huge amount of responsibility to that legacy.
Hmm.
But I'm not a copycat and I'm not a
No,
clone
no.
and I'm not trying to. It's not a tribute in that tribute band sense.
Right.
It's a tribute to my friend
Yeah,
and
yeah,
to
exactly.
legacy. The legacy of songwriting
Hmm.
he had. I was a fan
Yeah,
when their
yeah.
first record came out.
Hmm.
2 years later, we're friends. Three
Hmm.
years later, we're touring together, and I'm in
Hmm.
Lynch Mob, and I'm like, so, and I met Lane in a bar in Hollywood as we were both they were making Dog Eat Dog, and we were making our Lynch Mob record.
Hmm.
Janie and I were in North Hollywood someplace, uh, and well, I know where, but
Hmm.
bonded over music and just talking about, BSing about everything. And I think a couple of good fun moments out, and
Hmm.
got to hang out and get kind of tight that way. And then a couple of really funny incidents.
Yeah.
And it turned out just like, you know what, dude? He's, this is him to me. He's like, dude, we're coming out with a record. You're coming out with a record. You're going to open for us. And, at the time, I'm like, okay, well, cool. I'm an East Coaster.
Yeah.
He's from Ohio. He probably
Mhm.
means what he says, but we're in LA and I'm making a record. It's 1991. Who the hell
Mhm.
knows what's going to happen? And then, sure enough, Lynch Mob had a Kiss tour scheduled, and then they
Mhm.
had to reposition some dates, and we kind of lost that opportunity. And then all of a sudden, one day, our management calls us and says, "Hey, Warrant wants to take you guys out, and they're going to go out." And Dog Eat Dog came out, and our record came out, and we're like, "Damn, look at that!" And it was principally because of Janie and management and record
Yeah.
company and all those people seeing the similarity and the bond and the way that was going to be fun. It was Warrant Lynch Mob Tora Tora. We went out and
Oh,
did
hey,
so
yeah.
that free band bill did a bunch of dates, and
Mhm.
that's how we got to be friends.
Sure. And yeah, and I'd read a number of articles too about, how, you had his blessing. There was never anything adversarial. You weren't the new guy coming in. There wasn't, it was never bad. You guys had known each other, and exactly what you just said,
Well, and I mean, in all candor,
Mhm.
he was again not in such a great place, and I
Sure. Yeah.
really I was a little torn and felt really bad. Had moments of, gosh, should I,
Hmm.
I want to do this and this is really cool and everything. And Jenny was alive for 3 years, my first 3 years in the band, but he was again not fit or ready to come back and go do that. And,
Uh-huh.
started doing, doing what we do. And it was a very sad day for everybody. I mourn it. I posted to Instagram, not for my, every time I find an old picture, I'll post it. And I've got great memories of us hanging out and honestly being friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, for better or for worse, I like the fact that I'm saddled with the responsibility for the legacy of the songs. The songs are
Mhm.
great and
Oh,
they're so much fun to sing and to see the audience's reaction.
mhm.
And I speak highly of him at every show and and like this in interview. So, I owe a debt to him in
Sure.
that way. And that's how I repay it, by being able to hopefully deliver those songs to fans that still want to hear them.
Yeah.
This is a
I mean,
pretty
yeah,
heavy conversation here. We should lighten it up.
yeah, lighten it up a little bit here, but like us, the material that, I guess, the Robert Mason era of
Hmm.
Warrant, I
Yeah.
mean, you really bring it, and
Oh,
I'll
thank
just
you.
want to tell you, I'm a music guy, I'm an actor. I've been in the business myself. I mean, this is great stuff,
Oh, I
and
appreciate that. Thank you.
like I said, you definitely, you charted well with these albums. And I'm gonna have to. I think I'm gonna have to revisit these and give you some spins on my show. What do you think of that, huh?
I love that. I love that idea. Both those
Yeah,
records were fun to make.
yeah.
When I first got in the band,
Hmm.
Jerry Dixon immediately is like, "Mace, you write songs, right?" I'm like, "Yes." He's like,
Hmm.
"Oh, let's do some." Like, so it happened very organically
Uh-huh.
from the first couple of months I was in the band.
Hmm. Yep.
So, again, good fun to do. It makes
Hmm.
you feel creative, your creative part of your soul. You get to
Yep.
live that out. I sit and I have ideas all the time. My home recording studio, my phone, my Mac, my laptop, the whole thing is all full of little snippets of stuff. So
Hmm.
it's really fun to see the reaction of people. If we do louder, harder, faster in our live set,
Hmm.
they will join in, even if they don't know the song. It was that I wrote that as built as let's play it live to get an audience reaction and to have them, do the backgrounds, do the chorus along with you. So
That's a great tune. That's a great tune.
well, it's just a rock and roll rip. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
just
but
it's
it is.
just it's just me trying to heavy-handed, not really a guitar player, just like going, does this work? And then I give it to Joey, give it to Joey and Erica. They're like
Hmm.
shredding on it. I was like, oh, that's okay. That's yeah. Well, these fingers don't really do that, but go for it.
Did you? You're a New Yorker, right?
I'm
Or-
born in New York City, raised in the New York area. Yeah, we moved. My parents moved us out to the suburbs, so I
Like
ended up in New York, New Jersey.
okay, like Long Island, or is it
All my
Jersey?
cousins were on Long Island. We went to Jersey. It was that,
Okay,
it was
okay.
that move out of the city, move to the burbs, to sprawling suburbia.
Oh, sure, sure. Yeah,
But I was back in the
absolutely.
city because of the music thing. I was back in the city every chance I got.
Hmm. Yeah, well, that's quite a scene up there. That's quite a scene up there. Did you begin your, I mean, I was reading through, the bands and things that you've done and everything. Did you spend any time at the beginning of your career performing like in the New York area? And tell us what that was like a little bit.
All of that,
Yeah.
between, gosh, let's think, from CBGB to the Limelight to
I
the
did
Cat
that too. I did
to the
CB's
China
as
Club
well.
to, yeah, all those, to showcases for record labels, pre-lynch mob with
Hmm.
bands, all that sort of stuff. Jams in the city where like any, off days you'd go to the China or you'd go to some little club somewhere and it would be a
Yeah.
who's who of I could name drop for a month like
Oh, yeah, yeah.
the most ridiculous talent you've ever seen in your life. And then I'm like Joe Lynn Turner, if you know who Joe is.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Rainbow and Ingve
Joe
and Deep
Joe
Purple. I
took
love
me
them.
in. I met Joe at a rehearsal place with one of my first like original half original half cover band kind of things when I was
Yeah,
first
yeah.
playing. And I honestly walked out of a rehearsal room in the hallway to Joe.
Hmm.
And he's like, "Hey kid, is that your band in there?" I'm like, "Yeah." So I'm Joe. I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I know who you are." You
Yeah.
know?
Hmm.
So we exchanged numbers and he was like, "Hey man, you should come do this." He was, kind of mentoring me. He's like, "You should come into the city.
Hmm.
We'll go grab dinner." I mean, Joe and I would go in to one of our favorite Italian places in Little Italy, grab dinner,
Hmm.
and go to a couple of clubs that night and go out to the jams. And it would be, like Uptown Horns and guys from Saturday Night Live band and then you'd see like Nile Rodgers and the guest singers would be Joe and Michael Bolton and Paul Stanley, and they'd throw me to the
Yeah.
wolves with like, and Chuck Burgee from Hall and Oates who played drums and Elliot Randall from, Steely effing Dan playing guitar.
Hmm.
I was completely out of my depth as a kid, like, late teens, early 20s. And Joe would be like, "Go up there." And I'm like, let's do Oh Darling by the Beatles. And then all these guys, all these like really seasoned pros, like rolling their eyes. And I'm like, "Go up in there. And if you suck, you don't get asked back."
Right.
And that's where I started.
How about
But yeah.
CBGB's? Because I'd played there a number of times myself. What
Yeah.
was your experience like there?
Oh my God. Sounded awful. You stuck to every surface.
Yes,
If
yes,
you if
yes,
you've played there, you've been in the dressing room and the bathroom.
yes, yes, yes.
Let's not say any more about that.
If you drop your car keys in the bathroom, just burn them.
Yeah, just no, just oh God, yeah.
Yep.
But it was cool. It was like a long
Yeah.
basementy, you know,
Hmm.
dive with incredible history. I just really feel badly that I didn't get to experience like Max's and the
Hmm.
places of the generation just before me.
Yeah,
Like when I
me
was,
too. Me too.
I
Yeah.
used to I walked down 8th Street in the village of St. Mark's and go to like Electric Lady, and I knew Mary Campbell really well. So I had access to that studio
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
the time I was little.
Hmm.
And through like the 80s and into the early 90s. We mixed a Cry Love record there
Okay. Okay.
in
Yeah.
96, 97. So,
Hmm.
but just all those places, going walking around the city and seeing all that history. But yeah, I got to play every one of those places and saw so many bands at the
Hmm.
club.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, CBG. I mean, what an institution! It was really a shame to see it close and everything. But nothing like it was the same thing. We lost Hammerjacks in Baltimore. It was kind of the same thing.
Totally.
All that history and all of those just great times there and all the memories. It's just it's a real shame. But that's what we have. That's what we have left. We have that to remember it by our
Yeah, as
memories.
long as the memories are there and I was a part of that history, so I really
Hmm.
cherish that. Uh, you know, it's interesting to see things change. I did
Hmm.
have at a lynch mob show, I had my original CB shirt that I'd probably had for, I don't know, at that point in the 90s, I don't know, 15, almost 20 years or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
I had that torn off me at a show, and I had to go.
Jeez.
But thankfully, in the
Hmm.
early 2000s before CB's closed, I went back to New York and bought a not from Hot.
Right. Looks like you froze on me here. Hang on.
I think it was the last. I think it was
Okay,
the
so
last
somebody ripped your shirt off of you at the. Go ahead with that then. Okay.
at the last uh, Warrant and Lynch Mob show at the Bronco Bowl in Dallas.
Hmm.
I think that's where it happened. And it was already kind of torn in the collar and it was really thin. It looked gray and it wasn't even black anymore. And we were all,
Hmm.
between Lane and I and everybody else, we were all over and somebody out really close in the crowd just started tearing it and it came almost all the way off. And I think as I remember, I just went, oh geez, and just, it became two pieces and went two separate directions in the crowd.
Oh, that's too much. That's too much. Well, that was well, and back in those days too, the way we wore shirts, we kind of got that whole ripping the thing off started because I don't think any of the shirts ever had sleeves intact or the original
Yeah.
collar neither. So
I mean, that's I don't feel comfortable in sleeves on stage. In fact, okay, Warren Star shirt,
mhm.
sleeves off it. Sylvia just knows, like, hey, you want this shirt? I'll take the sleeves off it for you.
Exactly. Because I see that you have a show coming up in February. And the reason I started asking about New York was because it looks like you have a show coming up with Dee Snider in February. And I didn't know if you had crossed paths with him in New York City or not.
I did back in the day. I even saw Twisted back in the day when they were
Yeah.
clubs, when, before anybody knew who they were.
Hmm.
Nationally anyway, they were the biggest band on the Northeast
Hmm. Yeah.
back when Kix was playing Hammerjacks every other day, and
Oh, yeah.
Twisted was at every place from the Chatterbox to Lemoore to every place like that, and I grew up seeing that.
Hmm.
Dee and I are buddies. I saw him at a Bret Michaels show we did
Hmm.
maybe a month or two ago in Maine,
Oh, yeah.
in Bangor,
Okay.
and I think that's the last time I saw him.
Right. Yeah. And then, there was another band that was really big in Baltimore area that used to play with them a lot called DC Star. And
Oh
they
yeah.
used to do a lot of shows with Zebra as well.
Hmm.
And they were all Long Island. Well, DC Star was from here, but they had a place up there and they used to play. And I've had them on the show too, just to talk about the past and everything. So wow, this is really great. Again, it looks like these dates that you have coming up ahead of you, it looks like you're getting, hitting Tennessee. Yeah, that's really a hotbed for entertainment. I mean, it's huge there now, all over the place, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Nashville, Music City, so
Yeah.
but it's funny how all the LA rock guys have migrated out there, and
Yes, that's
I
yeah.
know a lot of really wonderful session musicians and country and rock guys, like not just rock guys. Some of the big
Hmm.
country players are friends.
Hmm.
So I like going out there and just kind of immersing yourself in the songwriting scene.
Right, right,
And I've done
absolutely.
acoustic at the Bluebird, all that kind of
Hmm.
stuff. I mean, I've been very, very fortunate to do a little bit of that stuff.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of people like guys from Kicks. I've had Brian Forsyth, he's down there now,
Mhm.
and a number of other people, musicians that were just from this area here that have migrated and headed down that way as well. And they said it's just incredible down there.
Yeah.
It's just a wonderful place to go perform. Another entertainment capital.
And
So
a huge talent pool.
oh, absolutely, absolutely, and not only for that, but also for acting in movies and things too. It's getting to be really big down there. Well, Robert, I really thank you for being willing to come spend time with us today on 97 Underground to talk about your show coming up at Backseat Events in Winchester, Virginia, December 6th. And wrapping up here, is there anything else you'd like to tell our fans?
Just again, we appreciate being able to come out and be a real live rock band running no tracks, no tapes, no assistants except our sound guy and
Hmm.
light people.
Hmm.
For real live people, it's obviously it's still a huge thrill to be able to do that. That connection, being in the studio is one thing and making records or all that other stuff.
Hmm.
It started with me with live performance, and that's still the most exhilarating thing there is. And when fans appreciate it, it's the perfect match.
Hmm.
Just tell everybody, we just want to keep playing live shows, and
Hmm.
it's again, it should be good fun.
Absolutely.
I went online and saw the venue, saw the whole backstage event area and like the whole thing and some prior shows. So it should be fun.
I think you'll have a good time. So, folks, remember December 6th, backseat events in Winchester, Virginia. We've got Warrant coming, and make sure you get out there. Tickets are available at warrantrocks.com. You can get VIP or general admission seating. And we'll see you there at the show. Robert, again, thank you very much for joining us.
Absolutely.
And folks, you're listening to The Back of the Rack, the Michael Spedden Show on 97underground.com, Baltimore's Pure Rock Worldwide. And we'll be back right after these words. And thanks again for listening to 97 Underground, the Michael Spedden interviews, and we hope you enjoyed today's show. Remember, download the free app from 97underground.com so you can listen to us wherever you go. The Back of the Rack, the Michael Spedden Show, can be heard on 97underground.com every Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Listen anytime, anywhere. Metal.
Worldwide metal 24/7. 97 Underground.